This is a brief sharing of an experience of awakening. Awakening to presence. Some may say awakening to the realization of the essence of being. Awakening to unconditional love. So, starting back in 1998, I was living a typical kind of family life with all the typical stresses and strains of being in that kind of lifestyle in the Western world, striving for success, creating life as best as possible. It was the bigger and better than plan, as I called it. Basically, constantly trying to make things bigger and better than what is. At one point in time, I had one additional stress land on my plate that was just too many. It was one more than my shoulders were willing and able to carry, apparently. Perhaps I was carrying more than the average, just based on my own past karma or history or past, if you will, of unfinished business. That one extra load of stress put me over. It was like I wasn't able to avoid myself any longer. The deepest essence of my being was wanting to show up and wouldn't wait any longer. Around midnight one night, my children were in their beds asleep and no one else in the house but me and them. I was in my living room and basically had what presented as a heart attack. I went through a death process in my living room of my home as a very, very intense pain hit my chest. My heart was very hot with heat and pain. This heat and pain filled my entire chest. It went up through my neck, across both of my shoulders, and then both arms to my hands. And the heat and pain was so intense, beyond anything I could ever imagine, to the point where I couldn't even hold my body up. I fell down to my knees. The heat and the pain continued more than I could bear. And I just laid down and went totally out of apparent consciousness. I experienced this place where all of my history came before me. And it was almost like every event in my life that was unfinished or incomplete in some way around being less than loving toward another human being or in a situation with other people. This showed up in my awareness wherever I was at that time. It was almost like movie frames, where each of the individual frames of the movie were of my lives, each and every circumstance where I was less than loving with another person. It was a chance to clean up and clear up all this seemingly karmic or past holding on. It seemed like there were thousands of these frames, just like a film reel, with 1,000 frames of my unfinished business with these human beings of my lives. So what occurred was, over what seemed like less than a split second, less than a split second, I saw each frame fully and completely, the entire event, the entire situation, with every person involved. This was an experiential feeling situation where I felt 100% of all the pain and suffering that was present, the pain and the suffering that I participated in with the situation and of these people. Each frame was felt fully and completely 100%. And then when that particular frame was felt, it would just fade and disappear. And then another one would come up, and then another one, and it just continued. Each one feeling it fully and completely, and then it transformed into the next, into the next, and into the next. 1,000 of these frames came through and were experienced and felt and shown to be released and transformed. And at the end of it all, in a brief split second, there was a bright white ball of light that shone from a distance. It was as if whatever this I was at the time was viewing this ball of light, and this ball of light began to move closer and closer to me. It was so magnetic and so attractive that it was the only thing I could really focus on and even see. It continued to move toward me, and as it got what seemed to be fairly close to me physically, the visual of this ball of light also became an intense felt sensory experience of love. I remember saying, "That's love." Then it continued to move closer and closer to me, to the point where the shining ball of light of love touched my physical body. I recognized it as myself, and I remember saying to, I guess, myself, "Oh, that's me." And at that very moment that I said, "Oh, that's me," and recognized it as myself, it totally and completely engulfed what seemed to be the me, the physical form, the body mind, and transformed it fully and completely, 100% into that ball of light. The light and the love that I was experiencing was me. I was it. It was me. We were one and the same. So this was a merging, a remembrance of the essence I am, the light I am, the love I am. One with the light, one with the love, one with God, one with presence, one with this vastness of consciousness, and even actually beyond that. Pure love is all there was and is, and all there is always already for everyone as the essence of being. Everything else is added on stories of the human. And even as this unfolded the way it did, experiencing all the pain and suffering intensely and fully and completely, 100%, it's like it cleared all the covering, all the veils that seemed to block the always already present unconditional love that's here now. The God that we are, the presence that we are, the oneness that we are is here all the time. It's just our uncovering process. I'm one with this light, and I'm one with this love. We are one. The experience is there's just nothing else to do but be here now in this as this energy. And it's a feeling of being full and whole and complete. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. There's no doing involved, just being. And this is totally the full experience of being, like completely full, where there's no needs or wants present. There's no worries, no fears, no doubts, no mind. There's nothing there. It's empty. In that emptiness, it's completely and totally full. It's all there is. This fullness. In the emptiness as the emptiness. It literally is everything and nothing. Simultaneously full, simultaneously empty, ineffable, indescribable. Words can do a very small pointing towards, but never can touch. So to continue, the next thing that occurred in my experience was as this consciousness itself, I could see very clearly other realms. I could see that my body, or this vehicle, this body that I was traveling in this current lifetime, was laid down on the floor. There was a voice that asked, "Do you want to keep going?" And I could see that my children upstairs which were very small at the time and young, would be waking up in 8 or 10 hours to see their father lying seemingly lifeless on the floor, and how dramatic and traumatic and what pain and suffering that could create for them, and most likely would create a very different lifestyle from that point on. And I could consciously remember making a choice to come back so they didn't have to have that experience. And the minute I chose, I'm coming back, and I'm coming back in that body, I came back. I'm not totally sure how or why this experience unfolded the way it did. I actually had no idea of what happened. I didn't understand what occurred. I just knew something major shifted. Which is actually one of the big realizations of this experience, is that we really don't have to know all the specifics about things. And actually the search for all the whys and wherefores in general can actually be a limitation and a veil to the love that's here now. So, after I made that intent, I woke up, and it was the next morning, and it was about 8 or 10 hours later, and I just remembered, even before opening my eyes, this intense connection and being love. It was so intensely powerful. I really didn't even want to have to move or get out of bed or anything. There was not even a need to do that. Just lay there and be it. And so I had a wonderful experience just even waking into that place of my bed and my room. And I can even remember moving under the sheets. Just the slightest little movement of my body under the sheets was ecstatic. It was ecstatic and alive and awake. Like every skin cell was just totally open and aware and alert and awake and alive. I was just this energy being. I did open my eyes, and the first thing I saw was just right over across the room, the sunlight coming in, and it had a beam of light coming across, and it went across a dresser and onto the floor. And it's almost like the items in the room really didn't have a name. They were just present there, and everything was unconditional love. I mean, like, everything, like, it went across the dresser, it went across the floor. It was like all the items in the room really didn't have a name. They were just present, and everything was unconditional love. Everything was just loving, and the unconditional part was just, there was no naming of it. There was just no judging of it. There was no description of it. It was just this overall energy. It was just all loving. It was just the most loving experience. The light itself was coming into the room, was this love. And the floor that it was shining on was the same love. And the dresser was the same love. And the curtains and the lamp and the bed and the sheets and me were all the same love. There's no differentiating factors. It was just all the same energy. And I could even see, I could see the form of the items in the room and see that they were made up of the same energy. The carpet was the same energy as the dresser and me and the walls and the lamp. So it was just very, very beautiful. It was just like I was swimming in this love in my room. This was such an amazing, wonderful, awakening, opening, brand new, life rejuvenating remembrance. Anyway, I was in that for a while, for some time, and finally made my way out of the bedroom and went downstairs to greet the day. I remember every step along the way. Whether it was my feet on the floor and the walls and everything that I saw. Everything that I experienced was this beautiful, loving vibration. There was nothing else. There was zero else going on except this intense experience of unconditionally loving everything as it was, as it is. Nothing had a name, no descriptions, no judgments, no mental chatter about it, no commentaries. I recall pretty much not having the drive or need really or want to do anything but just sit and be. And very extremely content in that space. So I recall basically sitting on my sofa in my living room and just really experiencing being this energy of love. I sat there for about 3 or 4 weeks in one place pretty much, only to really get up and maybe go to the bathroom and even rarely eat. At one point, periodically, these heat waves would move up through my body. They would start, it would seem like at my feet, and move all the way up through my entire physicalness out of the top of my head. And that would create this huge warmth moving up, and then I would just be a really super high vibe. In some period of time later, it would either be minutes or hours later, seem like the flow would come back down through my body again and back out of my feet into the earth. And this was up and down flow of energy that happened periodically over the period of about 3 weeks or so, through my body, from my feet, out of the top of my head, and then down through the top of my head, all the way down through my body, and out of the base, the root, in my feet. Wow, yeah, amazing. And I loved it. I just remember loving that feeling. Here it comes again, and I just surrendered into it. And awareness came in at that point that if I tensed up, it created some pain in my body. So I learned to surrender and let go. And as I was aware in doing that, this energy would continue to flow easily and effortlessly. It would flow up and back down and almost really just move my whole body when I surrendered into it. And as it was working its way up and back down, and I just went through that experience, that cycle for weeks and weeks. And then during that period of time, one of the realizations that came while sitting and being was that I would have a thought. A question would rise in my field, and right when the question came up, an answer would come in just as fast. Instantaneously, there was no waiting period. There was no delay whatsoever. So as I asked a question, the answer was there instantaneously. It was just amazing and awesome happening. I actually went and got a paper and a pen, and every time I'd ask a question, I'd write down the answer, and it became kind of funny because I remember it starting off slow where I'd ask a question and the answer would come, and I'd write it down, and as I would ask, I'd write it down, and there would be plenty of time for writing because, I would pause between questions, and then I started asking questions faster than I could write them down. And I'd ask a question and the answer would come. I'd be writing, and then some part of me would ask another question about this and what about that, and the answer would come, and I was trying to write faster and faster than I could keep up with. I couldn't even keep up with the writing down of the answers, which shows me later that how much the conditioning and mentalness and mind chatter and the commentaries and judgments that seemingly block what's here, right here and right now, for everybody on the planet, which is when you ask, you receive, and there's no waiting period whatsoever in its purest form. The waiting period is only there because of our blockages and beliefs and limitations and all those triggers and charges that are there. But anyway, so I had that experience, and that was like 3 or 4 weeks worth of just being in that energy and having this energy of life moving up and down through my body, and was washing me and cleansing me and purifying me and just really keeping me in the flow from that point on. I was just sitting in love, having countless realizations and universal understandings flow in. I realized other people around me wanting me to get up and actually do something. I mean, it had been a month since I was sitting and still journaling and really not doing anything else. So I was aware it was time to take this energy, this new way of being, out and do something in the world and actually be functional and be responsible and take care of my responsibilities. However, my life was 100% different. It was 180 degree opposite than it had been before, pretty much on every level. I was literally an entirely different being in this physical form. The same physical body, but an entirely different energetic being, quite frankly. I wasn't energetically recognized by some people around me. Our apparent previous historical human conditioning and relationships were just so different in the apparent physical human realm. It was just unrecognizable. My vibration was so different than what we were accustomed to between us. It was like it was very unfamiliar. It was a brand new person, but in the same body. I seemed to be unrecognizable to some people from my perspective. So in continuing, as far as the shift and the differences and so forth, our physical home even changed. We went from living in one lifestyle in a nice home and nice area to this new vibration, this new energy shift. We ended up moving to a new life in a new area, which seemed to match the new vibration, just showing seemingly how the inner vibration changes the outer vibration to match, and vice versa. Anyway, it just started a whole fresh new level, even where we live physically. And around that time, I began to more consciously enter into the alternative healing type modalities, like being a Reiki master and massage therapist, and traveling to various areas from Australia and Bali and Brazil and Costa Rica, numerous times to India, Hawaii and California, learning a countless variety of natural healing type modalities, including breath work and energy work and psychic development type modalities. While the renewed rebirthing near-death experience was really totally full, whole, and complete into itself, and continues to open up clear seeing and new awarenesses, it created this foundational place to live from in everyday coming and going and day-to-day doing of the human being. I think the physical doing or learning of so many alternative healing modalities is the natural expression of the vibration of the inner transformation into the apparent human realm. Realizing it's the weaving together of the seen and unseen, the known and unknown, the ineffable, the unknowable, and the apparent human worldliness. seeing what is as everything and nothing simultaneously. Some may say like non-duality, so to speak. This blendedness, it seemed to become very clear that this blending together of duality, non-duality is really just living life where we are, which made it simple. Being right where I am, accepting where I am and what I'm doing for real, what's going on in my life, just as it is, not trying to change anything, being real with what is, and that's all there was to do. No techniques required. It was just be with what is right here, right now, and in doing so, a doorway or opening can seem to reveal itself, can show up, can be seen. And then, if action needs to happen, it'll happen automatically from here, and even effortlessly from here. If any movement or change, seeming change, needs to happen. So, obviously, things have deepened since the initial awakening. Like in the beginning, it was about being with what is, and even if that meant being with 100% of the pain and suffering, not trying to get sidetracked or distracted by it or push it away or anything like that. Staying with it 100%, and it'll go away fast. And I learned that from this near-death experience where I experienced 100% of the pain and suffering. And after I did that, it was nirvana, total bliss and consciousness. And some would say God consciousness. And that's what it was for me. And as I know that I can have heaven on earth right here and now by experiencing my pain and suffering right now while I'm living, when it comes up, I can have bliss and nirvana right here and now, and it's just that simple. We make things so complicated sometimes. When just being present with what is can shift everything. If I'm in suffering, I'm totally with it. Close my eyes if I need to and just feel it and experience it fully. It bursts like a little balloon in a very short period of time, minutes usually. And after it bursts, pure ease and peace, unconditional love is there. A space is made for consciousness, basically just comes in and settles peacefully and is so beautiful. So that was what unfolded for this human, being with what is, and then there'll be grace and peace. So as things have continued to unfold, it's been seen that while that is where I was at the time in being 100% with pain and suffering, and is a way to be free while still living here on the earth as a human being, and the phrase, start where you are, can also be important. Because at the point of my experience, that is where I was at the time. Already deep in suffering. And it seemed like the only choice for me at the time was to be 100% with the suffering. And that was the doorway to my freedom. There can be other doorways, for sure. I'm just speaking of my own, this human being's path at that time. It also has been seen, if one is starting where they are, that can mean simply being in this state of open awareness, consciousness, seeing, being the seeing. When a thought or belief, a worry or fear or pain or suffering situation arises, it can be as simple as shining the light of the essence of being, I am, onto that which is seen and or felt as pain and suffering. Worry, fear, shame, blame, guilt, doubt, whatever it is, and shining that light instantly transforms it into its essence of being, the natural, clear, pure light I am, the light of love itself. So there's no requirement to dive into worry and fear, pain and suffering, stories, ideas, beliefs, conditioning, and programming in order to be free. It can be as simple as being the light of this love, shining its brightness on whatever arises, and transformation can instantly happen. Freedom remains, love remains, peace remains, joy remains. So to sum it up, it's up to each human being to know where they are with what is. Start where you are, and the way can be shown. It's simply an entirely new ballgame, so to speak. Knowing I'm pure consciousness, I'm God awareness, I'm aliveness, I'm grace, I'm divine peace, I am this bliss, this nirvana that was looked for. And the beautiful part about it is, this whole experience of it anyway, of awakening, really, it was to see we are all just this one energy in essence. We're all this love. We're all the same. We all have this center place where we meet in the middle, and it's all God, all goddess, oneness, peace, love, and joy. There's no real I there. It's isness, it's oneness. It's like the experience that I was talking about in the beginning of this sharing, the things in the room, the people, the lights, the sofas, the chairs, the tables, the house, the cars. They're all there as form, apparently, but their energy essence is this light of unconditional love. It's just consciousness viewing itself. And even the words just arise, and then go back into consciousness, and more words just arise, and they go back into consciousness. And even the vision of these things in the room, the vision of the people, the visions actually are just there. The vision is just the seeing, is just going on. The seeing is coming through the consciousness everywhere. It's not coming from a person or a personal me or an I. It's seeing without a seer. It's just there, just like words. And it's very beautiful way of seeing, being, because we get to see each other. We get to see ourselves. We get to see and be the love that we are. And there's just no judgments or mental narration or dialogue or mind chatter or commentaries going on. It's freedom, just freedom. So it's really just about seeing. Seeing is freeing. Like seeing is where the freedom comes in. We can see not only with our human eyes, but we can see with our energetic eyes. We can have the courage, the strength that we can call forward, the strength to be. I mean, the strength to be able to see the truth as it is. And that's beautiful. That's a beautiful mantra. Let me have the courage and strength to see so I can be free. And so it's really that simple. Instead of running away from what needs to be seen, I can recall a time when an energy actually showed up for me that didn't really want to show up fully for whatever reason. Perhaps worry or fear or some other made-up stories and all this mind stuff going on about what other people would think and yada, yada, yada. Who are you to say all this? Who are you to stand up so tall, so big, and claim all this consciousness and awareness and nirvana and bliss? And you know, when this arose, I just watched this energy surface, and I looked at it. I saw it. It's almost like this energy being come up, this little personality come up, and I just observed, and I claimed it's there, and I accepted it fully. And knowing my purpose, my mission is to spread this light of truth and love, peace and joy, it just dissolved into the love. And I continue to move forward, showing up here and now, fully and completely, 100% total, as the love I am, the light I am, the God I am, the bliss and nirvana and causeless joy and laughter I am. And I'm here to serve in the highest and best way possible that I can possibly serve, through all the fears, worries, doubts, mind chatter, mentalness, the old thoughts, beliefs, patterns, conditioning, programming, whatever might show up. I'm here now, 100% total.